Hey, what's up, fam? Thank y'all for tuning in once again. As always, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And when you do subscribe, hit the notification bell so every time I drop a video, you will be the first to know about it. So I want to do a video about this conflict going on overseas. And I'm not sure how it's going to be, accepted by YouTube, if it'll be demonetized, it'll be taken down, I get a strike. So hopefully not, because just want to say it out front. I don't have a dog in the fight. At least I don't think I do, because anything that has to do with world conflict, world policies, politics, and the U.S. government is involved, you have some kind of dog. You should have some inkling of a, some dog in the fight. Feel some type of way, whether pro or against, because it could affect, your livelihood. We know that we've already, voiced our frustration. I voiced my frustration with the amount of money being sent over to, Ukraine, sent over to help Israel. Hell, even sent over, I think, to Japan or China, one of them. And yet, I'm talking about money's in the billions, dollars in the billions. And yet there's not enough money to help the homeless, help the poor, get them off their feet, especially those who some of us just need a leg up, a little boost, if you will. Some people do. Everybody does not think everybody doesn't operate the same. Everybody is not made for college. Everybody's not made for trade school. Everybody's not made to run a business. Everybody's not made to be leaders or followers. So you have some people have to take things. Some people are not made to go straight to college right after high school. Some people probably can't graduate within 4 years. I mean, it's just, everybody is different. Everyone's not the same. So, but for you to act like you can't help nobody in your own country, that's where the problem lies. But with that being said, we know there's been a lot of protests at these universities over the last few weeks. My question I had is why they're doing it at school? But then you got to think about it. Most revolutions, most changes are created or made possible by the sacrifice of the youth. I mean, think about it. When you talk about war and people who are on the front lines, who are they? When these recruiters come out to recruit people and set up these buildings where you can get these Job Corps, buildings and stuff like that, they come out to the youth. Especially they go to the rural area. I know they used to, I don't know how they do it now, but they go to the rural area and they try to recruit people about to get out of high school or people in college, late teens, early 20s. Why? Because those are going to be your best soldiers physically, probably not mentally, but physically, those are going to be your best soldiers. So that's who you need youngins to get out there and fight. So when it comes to change, like the civil rights movement back in the 50s, 60s, it was the youth, right? Martin Luther King was in his 20s when he first started. I think, you had Rosa Parks, so even a young lady who was actually supposed to be like the quote unquote original Rosa Parks, can't think of her name right now, just because the thought just came to my head. They were in their teens. Most of the youth, you see them being, going across the Selma Bridge, the William Petty Bridge in Selma. They were youngins, 20s, teens and 20s. The ones you see them get hit with water hoses. The ones where they had these rides at these college campuses back in the day. They were kids. Older people like myself, 30s, 40s, 50s, most of us are not going to get on the front line because we have things, let's just be honest, a lot of things to lose. You got businesses, you got your jobs, got your families, trying to create legacies. You know what I'm saying? Battle-wise, you're past that. Mentally, you can give, you can give money or you can give ideals, give advice, your intelligence that you gained over the years or whatever, you can give that. But as of being like frontline soldiers fighting, you do that to the youngins. So I can see why And then you think about it, youngins are the ones who are going to lead the future. So if you can get it in their head to believe a certain way, then when they become 30s and 40s and got their own families or running a government, running businesses, running families, they can influence the youth, or they can continue what the older people continue what the older people are pushing or moving or doing presently, right? Okay, so that answered that question. But then we got other issues as to, do the youth understand what's really going on? One, do they really know what they're protesting or fighting about? On a grand scheme of things, I think a lot of them do. Some of them do. They know that what they're trying to protest is the schools are using money to help fund certain things that they don't agree with. That could be it. Got some people who got family in these countries that are going through this, and these students want it to stop, so they want the universities. They probably can't make the government stop, so they want the universities to say, "Hey, we're no longer going to." Use any kind of monetary interactions with certain organizations or countries or whatever, because it's harming the people that's closest to us, and we can't support that in any way, shape, or form, even if what we're doing, we're not doing it maliciously or thinking that something bad is going to happen. That's just how it worked out. So now we got to change things. Understand. But real quick, if these youngins really want to stop, and this is why I'm like, want to know, that's why I'm saying, like, do they know what they're protesting, why they're protesting, and do they even think that the protest is going to work? Are they actually getting, educated on the right things? Because I feel if they were, they would know the easiest way, the simplest way to protest or to show your frustrations against anyone or anything in this world. Well, let's say in this capitalistic society, and that might be the clue that give away the answer. The best thing to do is what? Stop going to the school. Simple as that. Withdraw. Now, I know, I was talking to my parents and my sister earlier today, and one of my daughters, and we was, talking about this, and I said that me and my dad said, hey, just stop going to school. And my sister, now she's grown, got her own business, got her own career, whatever. She was like, well, you know what I'm saying? Like, she was trying to, being sarcastic. She was saying, well, I probably would stop going to school, but this is finals week. We're in the middle of finals, and I'm pretty much done with the semester. So I'm gonna need to go ahead and finish this out. Then once we get done with this, get my grades, then I'll stop. And I was like, we laughed about it, and I thought, what, that could be a reason. That's a viable way of thinking. Seriously, for the younger, that's probably they've been through this far. But sometimes you got to make these crazy sacrifices, because there are teachers and there are students that have been suspended and or fired from these universities for, protesting one way or another. So, got to think about it like that. Like I said, that's a viable way of thinking. But anyway, I'll say that. So let me go ahead and get into a couple of these articles, because like I said, I got, technically at this point, I got, like I said, no dog in the fight. Don't like to see war. Really personally, I don't understand war now. I could understand it maybe back in the Civil War days when there was not a whole lot of technology out. So it may take a long time for battles to end and people know about it. Just like Juneteenth. Remember, it took 2 years for them soldiers to get down to the bottom of Texas and say, hey, all you black folks, all you slaves are free. Now you can go. So I can understand wars last a long time back then. But now, so much technology out there. I feel like if you see your enemy, you want to get rid of them, you can wipe them out real quick. You can find them real quick and take them out. So like I said, I don't understand why wars nowadays go on for months and months and years unless it's something about money behind it. Kind of like a boxing match when you got a fighter that carries, or a wrestling match where you got one fighter or one wrestler carries the whole, carries the other fighter or the other wrestler for the whole time, so they can keep the fans entertained. Everybody feel they got their money's worth, and you go on about your business. Then after a while, you go ahead and go ahead and beat the person after a while, and everybody get their money and everybody's happy. But now that, but with war now, like I say, but besides that, with war, like I said, I don't get it. Should be like bang bang, we done. Now who's next? Now let's go on with our life. But anyway, like I said, let's get into a couple of these stories, because this is, like I said, I don't have a dog in this, like really have a dog in the fight, but I wanted to do this video, but I see a story and I said, I want to touch on it, but then I said, nah, I don't want to get into it. Then I see another story and I'm like, I don't want to get into it. Then I see another, I'm like, you know what? Let me go ahead and do this. So I'm gonna try to do this one video. Hopefully this is it. Like I said, I ain't trying to be a casualty of this war by stating things that YouTube or whoever may not agree with it. But it's just something for y'all to think about. So first one is like from MSN.com, was by way of New York Post. And it reads, anti-Israel protesters at NYU admit they have no idea what they're protesting. Quote, I wish I was more educated. So that's number one. Why do you even know why you're down there? It doesn't make sense to me that somebody would be somewhere protesting, putting their livelihood in danger over something they have no idea why they're doing what they're doing. But let's get into a little bit of it. It said 2 Columbia University students who rushed to join NYU's violent anti-Israel rally are going viral after admitting they had no idea what the protest was about and wish they were, quote unquote, more educated. Got to be some of the silliest little kids. The unidentified students rattled. Now, one of the girls, you could see her face. The other one had a mask on. So, yeah. Anyway, the unidentified students rattled off their clueless rationale on the steps of the NYU campus in downtown Manhattan as a slew of NYPD cops clad in riot gear stood in the background, as seen in footage viewed more than 3 million times since being shared by former Mayor Rudy Giuliani late Wednesday. Quote, I think the main goal is to just showing our support for Palestine and demanding that NYU stop. I honestly don't know all of what NYU is doing, one admitted when asked about the protest's purpose. Now, I can understand if you wanted to show support for either side. If that's what you choose to do, then you do it. But again, how do you show your support and why are you doing what you are doing, right? You want to show support, but yet you're going against somebody that you don't even know if they're, it's kind of like the riots back in the day, like California riots. You would see what they call Rodney King riots. You see folks turn up, or George Floyd, something as recent as that. Folks turned up these buildings and, turn them up, looting them. But those people have nothing to do with what went on with George Floyd or in the verdicts, or Rodney King or in the verdicts at all. You were just mad and you wanted to tear up something. But you don't know why you turned that specific store up. Right. It says, asked if there was something NYU is doing, the student meekly replied, I really don't know. I'm pretty sure they are, really. She then turned to her friend and asked, do you know what NYU is doing here? The friend, who was wearing a face mask, then bluntly asked, about what? About Israel. Why are we protesting here at NYU specifically, the student asked. I wish I was more educated, her friend confessed. The person interviewing the pair continuously moved the camera back and forth to capture the ridiculous exchange. I'm not either. I came from Columbia. I was up there at Columbia and we came down. They said NYU need our support. The first student continued. I've heard there are lots of cops and people were saying it was getting dangerous. So you knew something was getting dangerous, and you as a young lady thought it would be a smart idea to ride down there to that school and get right into the middle of it. Where are these girls' fathers at? Like, seriously. Because if there was my child down there, man, it'd be hell. I'd probably catch the first flight up there and read them the riot act and probably yank them up out of school myself and put them back down here in one of these community colleges, because you tripping. You destroying you putting your whole career and everything in jeopardy, and you don't even know why. It'd be different if you knew why. You don't know what these people are doing at this school. And you go to a different campus that I ain't paying for to go act a fool. It wasn't immediately clear when the interview took place, but it emerged as days after the NYPD descended on NYU Monday night to help clear a tent encampment there. That's what's funny about them tent encampments. How you can tell who's the students and who are not, because you know a lot of these people that got arrested ain't got nothing to do with the school. I'm gonna get into that in a second. Is that you notice in the news when they tell them students to move, they'll just go from one spot and then go to another. You know, they won't just sit there like the ones who ain't students. They'll just sit there and get arrested and think they're doing something. But the ones who ain't students and why you got to be careful on what you're doing and who you're doing it with, because like I said, a lot of people are not students, but they will persuade you. They can influence you to do what they're doing, and they don't have a dog in the fight education wise. They just down there to to protest and to cause disruption. It say more than 100 student and faculty protesters were arrested during the ordeal that saw cops pelted with bottles and other officers struck, and one officer struck in the head with a chair. The students who were demanding their own school divest holdings tied to Israel over the war in Gaza created their own tent city in solidarity with the sprawling disruptive encampment set up at Columbia University. So like I said, but you'll see that a lot of them, they'll just pick up their tents and leave, or they'll just leave tents there and they'll go somewhere else where they won't get like in trouble. Which, brings me to this next little quick story. This is from the Daily Mail. And what does it read? It reads, Columbia University student crumbles under questioning after claiming school was blocking their access to food and water and demanded humanitarian aid. But hold on, before I get to that, I want to get to this here. These two little articles. The first one said 9 out of 21 protesters arrested were not affiliated with UT Dallas University said. And see, that's the biggest problem. This reminds me of the whole George Floyd Black Lives Matter thing. When they had these protests around the country. Remember those videos where they showed these people breaking the buildings like Neiman Marcus and Cheesecake Factory and taking cheesecake? And folks had videos, and black people were recording these non-black. They were recording these non-black people, throwing bricks through windows, stealing and looting. And they're like, and the black folks are like, what are you doing? And they're like, man, we're protesting George Floyd. Like, for what? Ain't nobody told you to tear this stuff. No, we're not doing that. We just peacefully protesting. We need y'all to keep it moving. Now, we want everybody to know it ain't us tearing this stuff up. It's them folk. Because they got nothing to do with anything. I'll tell you something I learned about them people, man, that I figured out. They want to be a part of everything. Either side of a conflict. You notice how they say that America is giving money to like Israel, but then come to find out they was giving money to like Gaza, some way, shape, or form, like giving aid. They do this. They'll fight on both sides of the battle, so that way they'll win regardless of what happened. That's what them folk would do. They will start a conflict. And then when there's two opposing forces, they'll go on both sides and stir up the pot. And will have nothing and have no affiliation with the people that they're trying to set a fire under. No affiliation at all. Like these non-black people, like I say, trying to protest with George Floyd, but you down there tearing up stuff. Why would you be doing that on that side? But then you'll have somebody on the other side saying how these protests ain't right. Like I say, they are known to get in the middle of everything because they want to make sure they win at all times. And also, if they help, because if you see a lot of these like interviews, you'll see people who are like, let's say like you have those abortion laws. And you'll see women who look like, 300-pound linebackers in for a pro football team. And you're like, Why in the heck are they down there protesting? Where are the women who look like women? Where are they at? Oh, you'll see, it'd be the LMNOP community be down there. This conflict here, when they interview people, a lot of times it's somebody from, like, say, from an alternate belief. You can't tell if they a boy or girl, man or woman. You can't tell it, or you can tell that they're not like heterosexual. You can tell these things, but they be on the forefront of every freaking conflict there ever is. And to me, the reason why they do it is because if you win, if your side wins, and they can say, hey, look, we helped y'all out. We we protested, we did the best we could. We protested. So now we need help from y'all. And then we'll be the ones who's silly enough to say, okay, hey, let's go help them out because they helped us. But no, they helped y'all to get something out of it. Period. They did not help y'all out of the kindness of their heart. Understand that. So like I say, 9 of the 21 protesters arrested were not affiliated with UT. Dallas University says. It says the University of Texas at Dallas says 9 of the 21 pro-Palestinian protesters arrested for occupying campus earlier this week were not affiliated with the university. Those nine and students and faculty were arrested for criminal trespass after the university said they repeatedly ignored requests to take down their encampment and barricades. So let me tell you what the 9 probably were. They were probably ringleaders. And then you'll have some sheeple behind them who think that they are students. It's a good chance that they told them other people that they were part of the student or part of the faculty of that school, and say that we need to stay here and hold strong until our demands are met. And then they all get arrested. And then you kind of find out that they're not students anyway. That's just how it goes. Friday, hundreds of people gathered at the same location again. Like many of the college campus protests over the war, the dispute now seems to focus on how the universities are handling what they call unlawful assemblies and criminal trespasses. And then I look at this other story. It says, this is 3 days ago from CNN. This is real time, everybody. So just roll with me. Let's say on May 2nd, which was like 3 days ago, say roughly half of the 282 total people arrested at Columbia and CCNY were not affiliated with the school. NYPD said out of a total 228 people arrested at both Columbia and the City College of New York on Tuesday, 134 individuals were not affiliated with either school, according to a New York Police Department official who shared the breakdown with CNN. The remaining 148 individuals did have an affiliation with one of the 2 universities. Broken down by school, the number skew a bit differently. 80 people arrested at Columbia did have an affiliation with the Ivy League University, while only 32 did not, according to officials. But it don't take a lot. You can make somebody think that the masses are going one way, and it's not. It's just a few, but those few can influence many. At CCNY, the breakdown was flipped. 102 people arrested were not affiliated with the school, and only 64 were affiliated. The NYPD said it was able to determine this data by cross-checking records with the university. So again, like I said, you have to really pay attention and understand why are you fighting. But then the last point I want to make talking about this thing is the media. Malcolm makes us tell us back in the day, whoever controls the media can control the people. The media can influence wars or beliefs, either way. So whoever controls them, they say the media was a big thing going back to Adolf Hitler, back in those World War years. That if he controlled the media, he can put out what he wants. But then even he said the media can be, detrimentally influential in the outcome of the way people believe and the outcomes of wars. So I know we talk about it here in America with the politics and with the election. Like now we're really looking close to it looking at it close because you have certain newscasters that are liberal and certain newscasts that are conservative. So you always got to watch what someone says and how someone says it. Like the story about Baton Rouge, St. George becoming a city, getting incorporated to become their own city and separating from Baton Rouge. And some of the articles said that rich white people, voted to become a city and leaving, poor black Baton Rouge people behind, pretty much. So they create a narrative of racism, which in general is not. You can say that is racism because how them people get money? How do them folk got money and Black American or Black Baton Rouge people don't have money? You could base it on policies that were racially, discriminatory. It's been around for hundreds of years. You can say that, but in the grand scheme of things, it's really about the haves doing what they want to do and getting separated from the have-nots. So which means instead of getting upset about it, you can get upset about it, but the way you change that is you create haves in your community. And you got to start with the kids because you probably won't have anything. But your kids can, your grandkids can. Remember, in the Bible, black folks love to act like they believe in God and God know their heart and this and the third. Well, you need to read them scriptures. And the scriptures, again, it says many times, the Most High told Moses that he would not reach the promised land, but if he continued to do what the Most High commanded him to do, his people will be blessed in the future, and his like grandkids will see the promised land. They will reach it. So that's how you got to look at it now. If you older and ain't doing right and things ain't right, it's okay. Just fight, work, and to where your kids and your grandkids can see the fruits of your labor and appreciate it and continue to build upon that for generations to come. But back to the media, I'm on this Wall Street Journal, and it talks about how Israel has shut down Al Jazeera. Now, can you imagine? Now, what did they say? George Soros over here is supposed to have bought like a bunch of radio stations, news outlets. Everybody knows what side of the fence George Soros is on when it comes to Republican and Democrats. So can you imagine him buying all these news stations and then putting out a narrative to the masses, controlling what's being put out on those channels and how it's put out? That would upset a lot of people. So you look at this and it says Israel has shut down Al Jazeera in Israel. Let me read some of this because can't read the whole thing. But it says the Israeli government closed the Israeli offices of Qatar-funded Al Jazeera, the most watched broadcast news channel in the Arab world and one of the few media outlets with a large presence in Gaza, saying the broadcaster was hurting national security. I watch Al Jazeera. I go online to get it. It's like, because when you want to get news that's not biased for the most part. A lot of it is, but you want something that's a little closer to the center than most. Most of your news in America, they go either one way or the other. They're either liberal or conservative, Republican or Democrat. Either or. So I'll look at American news outlets, but then I'll look at Al Jazeera, and I look at Reuters, BBC sometimes, or the Daily Mail UK a lot of times too. Y'all know I read them, but it seems like sometimes it seems like they kind of swaying to one side themselves on some articles. But Al Jazeera to me was like, when it comes to like American news, was like unbiased. They just put the story out there, put the date out there, and call it a day. But the Israeli government shut it down. It says the decision allows Israel's government to seize Al Jazeera's broadcasting equipment and block people from accessing its broadcasting within Israel. Al Jazeera is a popular channel among Arabs in Israel. The channel will still be able to report and broadcast in Gaza, a spokesman for Israel's communication ministry said. Last month, Israel passed a law to close foreign news organizations deemed to be a threat to national security following the October 2023 emergency order to close such organizations. Under the law, Al Jazeera can be closed for a 45-day renewable period. Passed as an emergency measure, the law expires on July 31st and must be renewed. Quote, Al Jazeera correspondents have harmed the security of Israel and indicated and incited against IDF soldiers. Netanyahu said after the decision, the time has come to eject Hamas's mouthpiece from our country, but War Cabinet Minister Benzi Gantz's party said it was concerned that the timing could hurt negotiations. Al Jazeera said it condemns Israeli attacks on journalism and rejected allegations by Israel that suggested violate professional media standards. So it just depends on what side you look, what side of the fence you on, who you're going to believe. But again, like I said, they're shutting down the media, and that there is like this. And this is why I said you got to watch world news. You got to see what's going on in the world. A lot of times, if something's going on in one place, it could be like a test to see how it works. And if it works, they may try to do it over here. I mean, Israel is an ally of the United States. So if Israel say, hey, so you think about it, as these conflicts go on, especially on American soil, as these borders are staying open, and you know there are people that's coming over here who are probably part of terrorist groups because they've caught a few at the border. When conflicts start to increase, people are going to start giving their narratives based on the facts or information that they received, which means that it's quite possible that some of your favorite, because they're already doing it. Like, take for instance, like on, YouTube. There are some things that some people can't post, but then you go on there and look at some videos and you're like, man, how is that channel still up? Seen lady who had a naked yoga channel that was up. And because she said it was educational or something and deemed it not safe for children, the channel stayed up. So just like nudity. And there's no problem. It's like, I don't think you need an adult filter on it, but it's like there was no issue with her putting this up. But if you go on here, say something against an organization or government that is supposedly an ally to the powers that be, they'll shut you down. Well, and it happens, seems like it happens like during every election cycle. Matter of fact, you can't even say too much about the election and they won't shut it down. The same thing, yeah, and it happened like 4 years ago. A lot of people were complaining that channel's been taken down, videos been demonetized, taken down because they had an opinion on the president on the election. So, like I said, those are things that you have to pay attention to. So, yeah, you have to, like I said, really pay attention to what's going on. And again, know what you're fighting for. Oh, I almost forgot this little article here. Let's go back, say Columbia University student. This is from dailymail.co. Like I said, I look at Daily Mail because they always have all the details. Columbia University student crumbles under questioning after claiming school was blocking their access to food and water and demanding humanitarian aid. Now, this is why, like I said, people who don't know, they don't know what they're doing and why they're doing it. Now you're looking silly. You're going to lose your livelihood and you don't research. That's why you got to research as much as possible and then create your own conclusion. It said a Columbia University student who demanded food and water and claimed the school was blocking their access to humanitarian aid crumbled when under questioning from reporters in the latest show of cluelessness from the encampment. Students pleading for basic humanitarian aid to be delivered to those illegally occupying Hamilton Hall said it was the school's responsibility to ensure they had access to food and water. Why is the school's responsibility? Now, but it's like saying in times of war, there's nothing fair about it. Not supposed to be. Forget them rules of engagement. So let's say this. Say somebody comes on your land and they're protesting because you're watering your yard 3 times a week when you're on water restriction, you're not supposed to be watering too. Or they feel you're watering too much. And it's causing the bill to go up and it's wasting water. And they come on your property protesting with signs, they're leaving trash, keeping you up all night. So you feel the urge, okay, you want to stay here, gonna make a living hell. So you feel the urge, you turn off all outside water. You turn off all electricity outside, no night lights. And you live in an area that's rural, so there can be animals. So you might have like hog calling apparatuses, tools, whistles, or things that are called coyotes and things, out the dark. And they try to order Uber Eats to come bring them food, and you're like, you can't bring that on my property. No, you can't. You can't bring no food on my property. And if you leave, you ain't welcome back. You try to come back on my property, they're gonna have you arrested. I'm trying to do this civilians, civilized way. I'm not responsible whether you eat, sleep, or crap. As long as you're on my property, I'm not responsible for that. You here illegally. You're not supposed to be here anyway. Until the police move you off my property, I ain't got to do nothing. Now you got them squatter laws that people are trying to change. Whether if a squatter be in your house for a certain amount of time, you can't turn the electricity off, or you can't turn the utilities off, which, like I said, they're trying to change it, which is crazy. But for something like this, people sitting outside my house, but they on my property. I wish you would call Uber Eats. Matter of fact, I'm gonna go call what's it called, Marco's Pizza, and I'm gonna have them bring it bring it to me so I can eat. While you see the pizza man bring me food and you get nothing, but they try to bring you something. No. You gotta take it. You can't deliver that here. You gotta go out in the street, across the street. Once y'all hit that street, you ain't getting back. It say, first of all, here you go. Quote, first of all, we're saying they are obligated to bring food to students who pay for a meal plan here, said organizer Jonah King Slutsky, who described herself as an expert for progressive and leftist cause. She's probably not, I'm just going to guess, she probably is not going to that school. I'm going to think about that. I'm going to say it like that. Holding court on the steps of Hamilton Hall, where students staged an insurrection-like riot on Monday night, smashing windows and barricading themselves inside. Remember now, a lot of these people are not students. Remember that. She told reporters, I guess it's ultimately a question of what kind of obligation Columbia feels it has to its students. Notice she didn't say to us. She said to the students. Let's see. Quote, do you want students to die of dehydration? This is a basic humanitarian aid we're asking for. Like, could people please have a glass of water? When challenged by reporters who pointed out the irony of demanding food and water from the school whose rules they were breaking, she backtracked. Nobody's asking them to bring anything. We're asking them not to violently stop us from bringing in basic humanitarian aid. We are looking for a commitment from them and they will not. So first you said if they got a meal plan, the students should be able to eat. But then when someone says that, hey, you ain't breaking rules, we ain't got to give you nothing, they was like, well, we're not saying they have to bring us nothing. You see that mess. Just like I said, you got to be careful who you surround yourself with and who you follow, because you got people who will say things that sound good and use your emotion for a cause. But when you use facts and, you use facts and common sense, it's like, dude, what you saying don't make sense. When pushed on whether or not staff had in fact been blocking food and water from being brought in, she retreated even further. I don't know what extent it has been attempted, but we're looking for a commitment. So you just talking. See, that's what if the answer is no, then you should allow basic. It's crazy to say because we're on an Ivy League campus. But this is basic humanitarian aid we're asking for. Could people please have just a glass of water? The spokesperson addressed media who had gathered at Hamilton Hall to grill them about the occupation. Quote, it's a question of what kind of community and obligation Columbia has to its students. The spokesperson said, we're asking them not to violently stop us bringing in basic humanitarian aid. The occupation is an escalation of the unrest which has rocked the campus in recent weeks ever since an encampment sprung up on the South Lawn April 17th. It said protesters are demanding that Columbia divest its companies with ties to Israel or firms profiting from the war in Hamas. So what she said, we will not leave until Columbia meets every one of our demands. One activist screamed from a balcony in the building after a takeover. That's what I'm saying. You got people who are inciting riots and takeovers and are not students, and you got some students who may have a dog in the fight. May have people over there in Israel and Hamas that's going through this and want the conflict to stop because they've lost family or they're afraid they're going to lose family. I can understand that. When you got people who coming in and again trying to protest, riot, doing things illegally according to the school's laws, and they don't really have a dog in the fight because in the end they'll leave that campus and those students will be the ones in trouble. Those students and those teachers will be the one in trouble. Those will be the one get suspended, can't come back to the school, can't get their school records, got to pay the money, all the money up front or whatever, and probably couldn't go to another Ivy League school in the country because their records may follow them and they'll be messing around and going to a community college. There's nothing wrong with that because that's what I went to, but I'm just saying that's not what they wanted to do. And then you were like a few weeks away from maybe graduating or in the middle of finals, and you got some outsiders coming in, inciting these conflicts. I don't know, it's upsetting to me just seeing that because I've had a kid in college and got one in college now, and it's just yeah, it's upsetting. But you hope this kind of stuff doesn't affect your own children, right? But anyway, that's all I got for this, man. And like I say, my point is this: understand why you fight. Understand who you fight. Make sure you understand what you got to lose. And if you're willing to lose it, understand what the consequences are going to be and know who you're standing with and make sure that if they're going to be at the forefront, they got as much to lose as you do. Because if not, either you need to back down or you need to push them to the back and say, hey, we don't need your help here because we got this. You understand, man? We're going to do it our way. We're going to, like I say, some of the students, they have these encampments. But when the school come out and say, hey, where y'all standing is illegal, you're blocking progress of students who are not trying to be involved in this and they're trying to go to school. And if you stay here, we're going to move you. A lot of them students just pick up their stuff and move on to a place where they can publicly protest. But those that stay there, most of the time, those aren't the students. So again, you just got to be careful, you know what I'm saying, what you're doing and who you're doing it with. But anyway, tell me what you think about this story. Leave your comments below and then share it with the world. Hey, support the channel. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. 4 ways you can support. Don't cost you anything but a couple of minutes. If you want to support monetarily, super thanks, super chats, or there's some links in the description box that you can click on there and help out too. And with that being said, like I say, however you support, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. Like seriously, I do. Because we're trying to grow the channel. We can't do it without you guys. So with that being said, I leave you in peace and I'll see you on the other side.